Okay, so this particular problem is about the computation of variances with respect to prime cost of ABC company. So prime cost includes direct materials and direct labor. Then we have our data for the standard quantity, the standard price per quantity, and the standard cost. We also have an information about the actual number of materials being purchased, the actual cost of purchasing the materials, the actual factory wages, also the actual number of units produced, and the actual number of materials used, as well as the number of direct labor hours used in order to produce the 19,000 units of product. Now, the first question here is how much is the direct materials purchase price variance? So since you are talking about the purchase price variance, hindi po ang tinutukoy ay yung nagamit kung hindi po yung purchase. So what will be our information here? In terms of variances, let us always remember na in the computation of variances, we are actually comparing the standard versus the actual. So let's identify magkano yung standard. What is the standard cost here? The standard cost here is that ang pinurchase ng company is 160,000 units, or should I say 160,000 pounds of direct material, and then you multiply it by the standard cost or the standard price. The standard price, as stated here on top, is 1.8. So 160,000, so that would be 160,000 times 1.8, and that is, you can get your calculators. 160,000 times 1.8 will give us 288,000. So 288 is the actual. Now you compare it with, sorry, 288,000 is the standard price. When you multiply the actual purchase by the standard rate, you compare it with the actual cost. So based on the problem, the 160,000 pounds is purchased at an amount of 304,000. So if you're going to use the information silently, the price per pound will be 1.9. But nonetheless, you are comparing the actual cost and the um, standard cost. So when you compare these two, you will be arriving at a difference of 16,000. And the 16,000 difference is considered to be unfavorable. So bakit siya na-consider na unfavorable? Because since we are talking about cost, the actual is higher than the standard. So that is unfavorable in the point of view of the company. Going to the next question, in terms of variances, in terms of quantity or usage. So since usage yung ating pinag-uusapan, we will be now comparing the difference in terms of pounds na ginamit. Okay? So based on, or the materials na ginamit. So based on the problem, the standard quantity na magagamit natin considering the standard na naset natin is that based on the problem, actual units is 19,000. You multiply it by 8 pounds because based on the problem, the standard quantity for a single product is 8 pounds. So get your calculator 19,000 multiplied by 8, your answer here will be 152,000. So based on the standard quantity, in order to produce 19,000 units of product, you must need 142,000 pounds of direct material. But based on the actual materials used is 142,500. So that is 142,500 pounds yung nagamit. And so when you compare this to 142,500 minus 152,000, so your answer here will be a difference of 9,500 pounds. Okay? But since hindi naman pounds yung kailangan natin, we need a value, a monetary value, we will be multiplying it saan? Based on our formula, we will be multiplying it sa ating standard rate. So, 9,500 multiplied by 1.8 will give us, it will give us an answer of 17,100. And that 17,100 is considered to be a favorable variance. So, bakit po naging favorable variance ang 17,100? Because based on the standard set, we will be needing 152,000 pounds of materials, but the actual usage of materials is just 142,500. So that is a favorable variance because mas maliit yung nagamit compared doon sa naset na standard. Okay? The next problem or the next question is about the variance pagdating naman po ng direct labor. So just like yung variances natin ng materials, same, we will be just comparing the standard and the actual, right? So how much is our standard? Ano yung standard natin dito? How much is the standard? So based on the problem, the number of hours na nagamit is 5,000. Based on the problem, ang atin pong rate per hour is 8. Okay? So, 5,000 times 8 will give you 40,000 pesos. Okay? And the actual, how much is the actual? Based on the problem, the factory wage is 42,000. Okay, 42,000 is the factory wage. However, 90% lang dito ang direct labor. So, you'll be getting the 90% of 42,000 and it will give you 37,800. So, you'll be getting the difference ng dalawa na to. It will give you a difference of 2,200. And that 2,200 is considered to be a favorable variance. Again, why is it favorable? Because the actual here now is lower than the standard. Okay? In terms naman po ng direct labor usage or efficiency variance. So, ang pinag-uusapan natin naman, difference pagdating po ng efficiency. So, ano yung pagko-compare natin ngayon dito? Again, the standard and the actual. Okay? Ano po yung standard natin? Ilan ba daw dapat ang magagamit? Okay, ilan daw dapat ang magagamit? Sabi ng problem natin, 0.25 hour per unit. So, ilang units ba yung ating na-produce? 19,000 units. You multiplied it by 0.25 hours. So, if you do your math, 19,000 times 0.25, it will give you a 4,750 hours. So, dapat ito yung hours na magagamit mo. Pero sa actual, based on the problem, ang actual number of hours na nagamit mo is 5,000. So there is a difference of how much? There is a difference of 250 hours. But again, we're not talking about the number, we're not limiting our answer doon sa number of hours because we have to multiply this to, yeah, we have to multiply this to the standard rate. And the standard rate here is 8 hours per, I mean 8 pesos per hour. Okay? So it will give you an answer of 2,000. Okay? The answer here is 2,000. And that 2,000, is it favorable or unfavorable? The answer is unfavorable. Bakit po unfavorable? Because based on the standard, ang magagamit mo lang dapat is 4,750. But the actual number of hours na nagamit mo is 5,000 hours, which is higher than the standard. And that is how you answer the problem, considering that there are materials, labor, standards for them, and the actual information.